Good morning and welcome in, everyone. Before we get into this morning's update, I want to go over a quick synopsis of what we've been experiencing in cryptocurrency. And unfortunately, it's something we've been prophesizing, it's something we've been worried about, and it's something that we've theorized since late December, early January, that XRP would come down to that $1.50 mark at best, because at worst, it could come a lot farther down. That Bitcoin first would take out 74K, which was a technical drop point, which we filled out now. And then after that, I suspect we're going to come down to 64K more than likely, as now a right arm is now formed outside of the right shoulder. And we've never back tested that breakout of the cup and handle. We never back tested that handle. Now it could turn into a head and shoulders pattern, which it is. And we'll see at 64,000 if this pattern is going to continue on, or if this would be the end of the show. And right now, there's a lot of evidence to suggest we're going to come down exactly down there. I know a lot of people back in late December, early January were skeptical when I talked about 74K and that $1.50 XRP. Well, with XRP, we talked about if XRP gets to $1.50, that would mean that Bitcoin's at around 64K. And right now, XRP went down to about that $1.70 level. But we're on the bottom side of where we need to be. We fell back within that channel. We came down to structural support below it, and that's the pivot point at $1.70. The fact we bounced off it so far is one of the reasons we're still sitting here. We came all the way down to $1.63, which is wasted energy in my opinion. And I'm not in the most positive of mindsets right now, because I know in my heart of hearts that we've got to take out that $1.50 gap at some point. We came down to that pattern formation that I had set up, and we talked about this drop for a long time. Unfortunately, it's here. I hinted at it the entire weekend how most of my holdings I don't have. I just don't have. It was becoming a zero-sum game where the risk-reward element of being in risk assets was becoming more of a net loss type of momentum gainer than a net gainer. And when that happens, you've got to steer a course, and that's what I've been doing the last almost 2 months. It's not easy to admit when things are topped out and that we're in bear markets, but we are. And as long as we came to that acknowledgement, a couple months ago, and if you started to come onto that line of thinking, it's a little bit easier to understand what's going on right now. Like XRP's down another 8.2% today, but that doesn't even tell the story. Like, you want to talk about a bloody weekend? We had a lot of blood. So going into the weekend, we were at about, let's see, on Sunday even, Saturday we were sitting at about 217. And now you're talking about a 20% drop. Exactly what we talked about too, which it's astounding. But now we're to the bottom side of these death crosses. The momentum has waned. This is what I had feared for many, many weeks. And this is the reasoning why I sold out of 70% of my portfolio back in late December, early January. And then, there were times where we were able to buy some, swing it. And, but now it's come to that point where we're in that area where we're in oh shit mode now. And it's not just crypto. Like I said, going into the weekend, there could be a bounce initially because of everybody who was getting hammered and they might try to trade through crypto. But by the end of the weekend, all discussions we had was, look out. Look out. You're running out of time. Even if you want to cash out and liquidate it, you're running out of time. And now, for all intents and purposes, that opportunity's passed. Unless you bought in at XRP at like 35, 50, 75 cents. That's a little different. But on most other cryptos, like you've got ZIL flipping a zero. You've got VeChain down under 2 cents. You've got HBAR under 14 cents. XLM's back at 21.7. XRP's at $1.76. Bitcoin's at 76.6K. So, I mean, I don't want to say this is worst case scenario because we haven't gone there yet, but we're heading down that path. Good morning. 7:57 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Monday, April 7th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. As I've been saying for weeks, sometimes buying the dip, you're not buying the dip, you're just buying a falling knife. How many times have I emulated and talked about how this feels like 2021 again, where everybody's buying the dip, but you're not buying the dip, you're buying a falling knife. And right now, that's exactly what's happening. And now it's gone from I'm buying for this cycle to I'm going to hold forever. I don't care what it does. When you get into that mindset, you might as well just cash out, sit on the sidelines for a while, and wait for the best opportune moment. Because once we start having that mindset, that's how the bag holders are born. And if you're in my audience, I'm not putting you down. I'm just saying bag holders are created with the mindset of I'll just hold it forever when I'm down. That's how we get bag holders. I'm trying to keep this community from being one big bag holder, but you also got to have the testicular fortitude when I say, like, it is what it is. I'm not a financial advisor. I can't tell you to buy or sell, but I've definitely emulated the warnings, talked about my portfolio, how it's basically 100% liquidated outside of what I do with what I still have with XRP or XRP Healthcare for other reasons. But you can't judge me based on my holdings, because with XRP, I bought twice as much as I wanted and already had gotten rid of half over $3. So, like, that was a substantial profit. So now, as part of my show, I do keep some. I like to have 10,000 on me, but that doesn't mean that I may keep it forever. Some of it's just, hey, that's what I do for my show. But I've cleaned up in this market since the market rallied in late October, early November. I had the wherewithal in late December, early January to cash out a significant portion to a lot of dismay of my audience. But when the local shoe shiner, is telling you what to buy, that's a big key point for me to start exiting and navigating elsewhere. So now it comes down to, what do we think's going to happen next? Because right now, to me, we came all the way down here. Yes, we're having a nice bounce back after we went down to $1.61. It seems like wasted momentum, though, because with that big of a drop, we might as well just come down to $1.50, took out that fair value gap and went from there. But now we've left ourselves with more work to do. That's all there is to it. We could have taken out some significant noise. Now, at least we came down to the support. Maybe we'll come back up here to resistance and tap that breakdown area, but right now we've completely reversed back down. Daily time frame, it's working back down towards a death cross. We've still got a little bit of movement to go, but it's definitely looking bleak this morning. So we'll see how it reacts this morning. We know that the Dow Jones is down at least 800 points still in the futures. It had reached as much as 1,500, but I can't suspect that today's going to be kind to us. I think today should be another continuation, probably down in crypto. Bitcoin, even though it held 74, that was my first target, but I have a strong suspicion we're going to come down to 64K at minimum and try to back test that cup and handle and see if we have any strength left. This entire pattern is breaking down. It's really obvious what we've been seeing here the last several months. We've tried to find reasons to give us a bullish scenario, but every time we try to find those reasons, we get hammered back down. So I just think it's a zero-sum game right now in crypto, with all the risk in the markets, with all the risk in the stock and all this other stuff, because I believe they're trying to work for, one, de-dollarizing the U.S. dollar, which is going to happen. Two, they're trying to have 4 to 5 rate cuts this year. And 3, they're trying to show a reason why they need to go back to quantitative easing urgently. And I think this is all they're doing. And I think they're doing it at the expense of retail. The middle class gets hit the hardest, the lower and middle class. When it comes to tariffs, everybody keeps talking about this great plan. I think a bunch of you wouldn't be speaking the same game if it was Biden doing the exact same thing as Trump. And the ones who are making fun of Trump, I think you wouldn't be saying anything if Biden was doing the same exact thing. So take politics out of it. Take the right or left out of it and realize we've just been given the single biggest tax in U.S. history with these tariffs. Go look at the data. Real economic data, not bullshit. And you'll understand why this was such a slap in the face. And now we're being double taxed because we're not only paying tariffs, we're paying our state and federal tax as well. We're paying our sales tax on grocery items, items as a whole. So you're not saving anything. This is just another tax on the middle class. And if you appreciate paying 20 to 50% more for everything you buy, well, this might be for you. If not, risk assets are definitely not an area to look at. Because the problem is when everybody's getting taxed over the top, What's the first line of defense they're going to take to sell? Risk assets. It's in the name, a risk asset. The number one thing to go is risk assets in the time of high inflation, the time of uncertainty, and the time of no money. People have no money. So everybody who expects them to buy crypto, what are they going to buy it with? Their lack of cash, their lack of finance, their overextended credit cards, the fact that a lot of people are behind on their mortgages. They can't afford to buy crypto. And that's when I call it a zero-sum game, because this game takes a lot of money in crypto to move. A lot. And right now we're getting a lot of outflows. We've lost another 73.5 billion in the total crypto market cap, which is 3%. We've lost another 24.5 billion in the total 3 market cap, which is 3.45%. And despite all of it, Bitcoin's up almost 0.75% this morning and getting close to 64% in dominance. And no way does this look good. We can have bounce backs, but until we take over and we get some serious bullish momentum, we've got to look out below. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. If you appreciate what I do, make sure to hit that like button. Share this on social media and join the channel of over 32,400 subscribers. If you want to take it a step farther, you can send a YouTube Super Chat, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. We don't get many of those, or you can join Tom's Army and pay it forward. I encourage you to look at BITUNIX, the lowest spot in leverage trading fees that I have found. No KYC or VPN worldwide, including the USA. They have XRP and so many more. And for 99% of my trading, I'm going to be doing it on BITUNIX. For the 1% that I can't buy on there, I have crypto.com. But right now, I'm almost essentially completely liquidated outside of what I've said. So a lot of things have happened. It's a very, very lackadaisical market we're sitting in. And when risk assets become more risky than good, and when it becomes, like I keep saying, a zero-sum game, I feel like there's more risk than reward now. And when there's more risk and reward in risk assets, that's when I'm not interested. I like the accumulation phase, not the let's hold and lose 95% of our portfolio just to get back in to the bear market. So that's where I stand. That's where I sit. Have a blessed day.